Hey, what's going on, everybody? Dave with Cool Breaks Hot Takes here. Gonna try something a little bit different. Haven't done any analysis or whatever all year. Said that I was going to. Finally gonna give it a shot. Um, I'm not a fan of having the camera on me. I'd rather kind of talk with my hands here. But I've written down some crucial information about Super Wildcard Weekend. Happy Super Wildcard Weekend, by the way. Lots of good games this weekend. Starting tomorrow on Saturday. I'm going to try to get this uploaded on Friday and hopefully break down some of these games for you guys. So I wrote down some stats that I think are pertinent and some clever, horribly drawn visual aids. But we'll go ahead and get right into it. So first game is going to be on Saturday at 4:30 on NBC. It's going to be Cleveland at Houston. Cleveland is a 2.5-point favorite. This is the closest rated game, I think, besides, I think they have Detroit as a 3-point favorite, but we'll get into that in a minute. But this is a very close game. So breaking down some stats here, of course, we got record. Cleveland's 11-6, Houston is 10-7. Against plus 500 teams, Cleveland is 7-5, Houston is 6-4, both pretty good. But the 7-5 for Cleveland includes a win at Houston. I think it was like 3 or 4 weeks ago. At home, this is the big one right here. Cleveland, 8-1. On the road, not so good. They're 3-5. And this is the effective against 500 number here, which is if the team is on the road, then it's going to be on the road versus 500 teams. They are 2-5. So that's quite a big difference. You don't see any losing records here on Houston's side. Effective against 500 teams, they are 500 on the number. They're 3-3. So that's big. And I kind of wanted to get into a breakdown of exactly why Cleveland is such a bad road team. Now, it's been said all season long that Cleveland is a great defensive team, which is true. That is true, but when they go on the road, the numbers are staggering. All right, so on the road, let's see. All right, so effective points per game. Where is it? Where is it? Oh, okay, I didn't write that one down. I screwed up on this first sheet. I got some more numbers on the next one. But when they go on the road, the fewest number of points that they have given up on the road this year is 22, and that actually was to Houston, which kind of gives you a little bit more of a warm and fuzzy, but it's still 22 points. That's a lot of points. Here it is. 30 points per game on the road they give up on defense. That is ridiculous. Now, I do know that the stadium in Cleveland is very difficult to throw in and kick in, so it's typically lower scoring games there. I think that has a drastic effect. You can see their turnover differential. They are -9. Not great. Not great. Houston on the other side, they're pretty average. They're pretty, I wouldn't say, they're not quite mediocre. They're a little bit better than mediocre. Offense, they're 13th in scoring. Defense, they're 11th in scoring. So defense is a little bit better. What I will say is they don't run the ball particularly well, but they do defend the run very well. 3.5 yards per carry. And turnover differential, that's going to be crucial. It's very crucial in the playoffs. And it's a little surprising with a rookie quarterback under center. They are +10 in turnover differential, so that could be crucial. This is really close to a toss-up. Just some fun facts here. Rookie quarterback, rookie head coach, so not a lot of experience there, at least not in the capacity that they are now. Tank Dell is going to be out. They haven't quite looked the same. They've been good, but they haven't looked the same since Tank Dell went out with the injury. So, got some illustrations here. All right, so we got the dog pound right there. And as you can see there's the doormat. And as soon as you remove that doormat, or I'm sorry, they become a doormat when they're not at home. I don't really know what I was trying to say here. But here's my high-speed visual aid. And then on the other side, you got the Texans. All right, so this could very well be what happens after the game on Saturday. You got a random guy up there saying, why don't you guys win in the playoffs? You got the head coach there. He says, I don't know. I'm new here. There's C.J. Stroud. He says, so am I. And then there's Tank Dell, and he says, me too, and I'm hurt. And then just another guy in the background saying me too, like he's new, because they got a lot of new guys. But I'll make my picks at the end. Next game we have is Miami at Kansas City. All right, we got two teams that are not performing very well going into the playoffs. Overall record is exactly the same, 11-6 against 500 teams. This is the kicker right here. Miami is 1-5 against plus 500 teams. Not great. Home doesn't really matter. They're going to be on the road in Kansas City, a tough place to play anyway. Road, they are 4-4. But effective against 500 plus teams, they are 0-4. They have not beaten an above 500 team on the road this year. Kansas City, they're actually better on the road, which kind of was surprising when you think about it. And they're 2-3 at home against plus 500 teams. So neither team great in the capacity that they're going to be playing on Saturday night on Peacock. Offense, this was also kind of surprising. Not so much on the Miami side. They're second in offense and scoring, 22nd on defense scoring. Yeah, not really a big shock there. They're an explosive offensive team. Kansas City side, offense is ranked 15th in scoring, which is way down. Of course, we've seen Patrick Mahomes getting upset on the sidelines, barking at everybody, crying, whatever. Receivers can't seem to catch the ball, and Travis Kelce's balls are in Taylor Swift's purse. So, little bit dysfunctional, at least for Kansas City terms, on offense. But defense is second in scoring. That's unbelievable. You think Kansas City, and automatically you think offensive side of the ball. But they don't defend the run particularly well. Give up 113 yards, 4.5 per carry. But they are pretty good against the pass. And for whatever reason, they keep the ball out of the end zone. But turnover differential, Miami side, they are +2, which is okay. But Kansas City side, good golly, they turn the ball over like crazy, and they don't produce turnovers on defense. So they are -11. Okay, and effective points per game, let's see. Okay, so this will be, so Miami's going to be on the road in this playoff game, so their effective points per game is what they score on the road. That's 26.2, but they give up nearly 30 points on the road per game, which might explain why they're 0-4. And then on the Kansas City side, at home, they scored almost 23 points per game, and they give up only 16.5 points per game, which is outstanding. So some notes here. Miami has already lost to Kansas City in Kansas City. Okay, I got notes on the other side. Horrible road team. We don't know if Jalen Waddle is going to be playing. Last I heard, it was optimistic that he was going to play, but not 100% sure. We're looking at a possible big game for Achane or Mostert or both, just because of how bad Kansas City is against the run. Some notes on the Kansas City side. They turn it over a lot. They are only 4-4 since beating Miami, so haven't been great. It was kind of a different team when they beat Miami, so I'd expect it to be a lot closer this time. And then, of course, T-Swizzle. Is she going to be at the state? I'd like to see the statistics on their record when she is in the house, because I swear to God, every time they show her up on the screen, it's like they lose. So, anyway, now on to some illustrations here. We got T-Swizzle in the boat with a harpoon, poorly illustrated harpoon, shooting Snowflake the dolphin. And then you got just a random crying Patrick Mahomes there on the other side of the boat. So, I did draw these a little while ago. I don't remember exactly what I was thinking most of the time. But anyway, all right, next game is going to be Sunday at 1 o'clock on CBS. It's going to be Pittsburgh at Buffalo. Buffalo is a 10-point favorite. I think this is, well, Vegas agrees that this is probably the most lopsided game, at least on paper. if I were to bet on games, I would definitely take Pittsburgh here against the spread. 10 points is a lot, especially when you have a head coach that has had postseason success against one that hasn't really. I think he'll find a way to keep this game close. Overall record, just one game difference, but as we all know, Buffalo kind of blew it out their ass at the beginning of the season. They came on late. Against 500 teams, Pittsburgh is 8-5. They played a lot of good teams this season. Buffalo's 5-3 at home. Doesn't matter for Pittsburgh, but Buffalo is 7-2 at home. On the road, Pittsburgh is 5-3. And then let's get into these effective against plus 500 teams. Pittsburgh is 4-3 against above 500 teams on the road. That's outstanding. And Buffalo is 3-1 at home against plus 500 teams. So we're looking at a pretty good road team against a pretty good home team here. Offense, Pittsburgh, no doubt, been struggling all year. They are 28th in the league in scoring. Just over 200 yards passing per game. Not great. Of course, they get it done on the ground. 118 yards per game and 4.1 per carry. So they run the ball a lot. Just the way it strikes me, just as the numbers on the sheet, it looks like they run the ball a lot because 4.1 is not great per carry. But 118, pretty good numbers on the ground. And they score about 17.5 per game on the road. Buffalo, on the other hand, 6th in offense. We all know they're great on offense. When everything's clicking, they're almost impossible to stop. Yards per game, almost 400 yards per game. 26.5 per game. And then when they're at home, it jumps from 26.5 to 28.4 points per game. So really good home team. Really good home team. But this is what's a little bit surprising here. In scoring defense, Pittsburgh is 6th. That's not a real big surprise. But Buffalo is actually 4th in scoring defense. That's crazy. And as much as they harp on Josh Allen turning the ball over, they're still +2 in turnover. In turnover differential. But Pittsburgh is +11. That's just about at the top of the league there. And effective points per game given up, Pittsburgh 18, almost 19 points per game, and Buffalo at about 16 points per game. So this could go either way. I just don't see Pittsburgh being able to contain that offense, at least not all game long. I think you're gonna see some explosive plays from Josh Allen in that offense. So, fun facts on the Pittsburgh side. They are a very good road team. But what is the quarterback situation? And can they generate turnovers? Here's the other thing with Pittsburgh's defense. TJ Watt, he's out. We don't know when he's coming back, but he will not be playing on Sunday. We know that for a fact. So, honestly, I would say bet the house on Pittsburgh against the spread, except for the fact that TJ Watt is not going to be a part of that defense on Sunday. And then on the Buffalo side, fun facts, all-around excellent team. They need to take care of the ball. And are they overlooking this round a little bit? Because it is technically so lopsided. I guess we'll find out. And here's on the Pittsburgh side. High-speed illustration here. All right. You can't really tell, but that is a deck of cards right there. And that's a deck stacked against the Steelers with that terrible Steelers logo. And then you got two random guys standing there talking about it, and they say, one of them says, "Why are we here?" Meaning, why are we here in the playoffs? And then the other guy says, "Probably Mike Tomlin." That's the only reason they're in the playoffs. Not a very good team. And on the Buffalo side, here's an illustration. There's a random guy up there saying it's cold as fuck. And then you got a Bills fan putting himself through a table and saying "Go Bills" at the same time. My prediction is there's going to be about 1,000 tables broken. I'd say that's definitely the plus or minus on the betting side of things as far as how many tables will be broken in Buffalo. All right, next game we got Green Bay at Dallas. Dallas is the 7.5-point favorite. This game will be on Fox at 4:30 on Sunday. All right, so overall record. Before I even say that, Green Bay, I think, is probably the worst playoff team this year. Um, it pains me to say it, but I think it's either them or Tampa, honestly, probably the worst playoff teams. But they are 7.5-point dogs going into Dallas. Overall record: Green Bay 9-8, Dallas is 12-5. Against plus 500 teams, Green Bay is 3-4, Dallas is 4-4. At home, doesn't matter for Green Bay, but Dallas is 8-0, 8-0 at home. And on the road against 500 teams, Green Bay has only played 2 plus 500 teams on the road this season. They are 1-1. Of course, Dallas at home against plus 500, they are 4-0. Perfect record. All right. So, offensive numbers. Green Bay, very mediocre all the way across the board. About 250 yards passing per game. About 112. That's actually pretty good rushing stats per game. 112. But as you can see, Dallas is still better than them at that. And that's the best part of their offense, technically. But some pretty staggering numbers here. Of course, Dallas is the #1 ranked offense in the league in terms of scoring per game. At 37.4 points per game at home. And then overall, still about 30 points per game. So we're looking at a very, very good offense in Dallas. And then, of course, a lot of people are saying this is their best chance to get to the Super Bowl that they've had in years. I tend to agree with that because look at their defensive numbers here. They are 5th in the league in terms of scoring, yards per game. Doesn't really matter, but they produce turnovers. You can see that. They're not turning the ball over on offense, and they are getting turnovers on defense. They are plus 10 in that category. Effective points per game allowed by the defense on the road for Green Bay is 21.1, and then about 16 points per game allowed by Dallas. So their defense is cooking. Their offense is cooking. Yeah, this is almost as lopsided as the Buffalo and Pittsburgh game. But some notes here on Green Bay's side. Very young team, but they're a very balanced team. As you can see, 12th on offense, 10th on defense. Pretty balanced, but they do give up some big plays. Their secondary leaves a little bit to be desired, not great. So, on the Dallas side, is it going to be a big night for Pollard? I would guess so. You can see that Green Bay's defense, they allow 128 yards per game on the ground, so not great. They are perfect at home. I would expect that to continue, and they can really only beat themselves. They have a tendency to play down. We kind of saw it when they had that game against Philadelphia earlier this year. They had a really good chance to win that game, and they kind of blew it, kind of self-imploded. But only one illustration is needed here. We got my really bad Dallas star there. So you got Dallas plus Green Bay. And it's going to equal no love. Of course, Jordan Love, quarterback for the Green Bay Packers. No love, little broken heart there. And then we got Dak on his sleep number bed, just snoozing. Probably by the time the fourth quarter starts, he will be checked out for the day. All right, next game. On Sunday at 8:30 on NBC, we got the LA Rams. We got them at the Detroit Lions. Lions are 3-point favorites. This is going to be a close one, and it's going to be a close one for a number of reasons. Overall record, LA is 10-7. Detroit is 12-5. Surprise of the year, in my book at least. Against plus 500 teams, the Rams are 6-7. Not great. And then if you go to effective against plus 500 teams, they are 2-5, which is terrible. But at home against plus 500 teams this year, the Detroit Lions are 0-2. They've only played 2 above 500 teams at home, and they've lost both of those games. They need to find a way to win. Offensively, both two very good offensive teams. LA Rams are 8th in the league in scoring. Detroit, 5th in the league in scoring. Very explosive offense. Effective points per game. LA is scoring almost 24 points per game on the road, and Detroit is just under 31 points per game at home. So, lots of offense. Not so much defense. The Rams are 19th in the league in scoring, and Detroit is 23rd in the league in scoring. It's pretty evenly matched. Pretty evenly matched. Even in the turnover plus minus, the Rams are -3, and Detroit broke even on turnovers. But if you look at these numbers, they are very, very similar, and they all kind of balance out. Rams are a little worse on offense and a little bit better on defense, and Lions are the same. So let's just go to the notes here. I think that, honestly, Detroit is probably favored in this game just because they're at home. I got it pretty dead even. All right, so some notes here for the Rams. They need to get the ball out fast. That pass rush is no joke for Detroit. You got Aiden Hutchinson back there. They need to keep the ball in the air. As you can see, Detroit is very good against the run. They give up under 90 yards per game against the run. And they can't allow explosive plays. Like I said, Amon-Ra St. Brown, one of the best receivers in the game right now. Him and Goff have been tearing it up, and big chunk plays. They also got Jahmyr Gibbs that they like to dump the ball off to, so they're going to have to find a way to contain that. Their defense is going to have to grow 10 feet overnight. Okay, so on the Detroit side, they lost to only 500 teams played at home. I think I wrote that incorrectly, but as you can see, 0-2 at home against plus 500 teams, not great. Offensive juggernaut, already covered that, and defense relies heavily on the pass rushing and rushing defense. So you can beat them, but you have to account for their defensive linemen. You have to. So I would look for the Rams to utilize Kyron Williams maybe a little bit more in the passing game, get some screens, stuff like that, and then try to. And Stafford's definitely got the arm for it to hit those deep routes. Okay, so in my illustration, we have a bit of a homecoming here from Matthew Stafford. I don't know if he ever played in a playoff game in Detroit, but we got a little guy up here announcing, and the homecoming queen is, and then you got Stafford and Goff there. Of course, these two, switch sides. Of course, Goff years ago was with the Rams, and Stafford was with the Lions. And then you got MCDC down there chewing on Stafford's patella. So, sweet little illustration there. All right, and that brings us to our last game for Super Wildcard Weekend. It's going to be on Monday night at 8 o'clock on ABC or ESPN. I will be at this game, so hopefully it goes well. That aside, we got the Philadelphia Eagles at 11-6. We got the Bucks at 9-8. Against plus 500 teams, it's not even close. Philadelphia is 5-3. The Bucks are 3-7. Bucks are about the same at home as it is on the road. They're actually better on the road. And Philadelphia is a little bit better at home. They will be on the road. So effective against plus 500 teams on the road. Philadelphia is 3-2, and the Bucks at home against plus 500 teams are actually 1-3. Not great. So offensive scoring ranking in the league. The Eagles are 7th. Pretty good numbers. And on the road, they're putting up almost 21 points per game. The Bucks, on the other hand, are 20th on offense. They are only scoring about just under 18 points per game at home. Going to have to be a little bit better than that, I think, on Monday. Defensively, this is shocking. I really thought Philadelphia was much better on defense, but they are 30th in the league in scoring points allowed in the NFL. 30th. They are -10 in turnover differential. So they are not generating turnovers, and they are turning the ball over too much on offense. They are giving up about 21.5 points per game on the road this season. The Bucks, on the other hand, defense is very, very strong. 7th in the league in scoring. They are much better against the run than they are on the pass. I will say that. I've watched every Bucks game this year, and that's just the way it is. That's the way it's been. They give up 3.8 yards per attempt on the ground, and they are +8 in turnover differential. I'll take that all day, every day with Baker under center. So I think this game is they got the Bucks as 3-point dogs. This is going to be a very close game for a number of reasons. I think, well, the Eagles are 1-5 in their last 6 games. Last game they lost A.J. Brown. All right, Jalen Hurts got benched because he hurt his hand. No word yet on his condition. I have no doubt that he's going to play, but I don't know how effective he is going to be, which means they are going to have to utilize the ground game, which the Bucks are very good at stopping. So there's that. I know that Baker is very banged up on the Bucks side. I went to the game in Charlotte last weekend. He was gimping around even before the game started, took a couple big hits. But some notes here. The Eagles did beat the Bucks in Tampa on week 3. Very different team back then. Killer turnovers. Already went over that turnover differential. But on the Bucks side, they are maybe the worst playoff team. Like I said, I think them and Green Bay, I think it's pretty much a toss-up. They are awful against plus 500 teams. And then, of course, the Baker injury. Who knows how bad that is. All right. So, for the illustration for this game, we got the hospital over here. And, and then this is supposed to be like a marker of that hospital. It says, NFL hospital population this game. A lot of key players are hurt. Devonta Smith is also hurt. Forgot to mention that. So you got Jalen Hurts is hurt, and then you got A.J. Brown is hurt, and Devonta Smith is hurt. So, and then Baker on the other side. So this one is very close. I'm having a lot of problems picking a winner here. But so I drew a guy there that says call it in the air because I think this game is pretty much a toss-up. All right, so here's the bracket. And in case you didn't know, the NFL is a little bit different. It's not a true bracket. So, like, if a lower seed wins against a higher seed, if there's an upset, San Francisco will play. They won't play Philadelphia or Tampa. They'd move on and play whoever the highest seed is that's left, or the lowest seed, I guess you should say. But, okay, so picking winners here. All right, first game is Buffalo. Let's see. Grab a pin here, and I'll circle some winners. Okay, so on the AFC side, we got Pittsburgh at Buffalo. I think no question, you got to go with Buffalo here. You got Miami at Kansas City. 2 struggling teams. I give the edge to Kansas City just based on experience and how bad Miami is against plus 500 teams. I got Kansas City in that one. Cleveland at Houston. Very, very interesting matchup. Very close game. I think it's going to be. But I got to go with experience. I don't know what's going to happen. Rookie head coach, rookie quarterback. Not sure what's going to happen on that side, but we got a guy in Joe Flacco who's been there, done that, and we do have a good defense, even though they are pretty bad on the road. I'm going to give the edge to Cleveland, as much as it pains me because I really like C.J. Stroud. Anyway, and I guess we'll go ahead and circle Baltimore too. They're at home on their couch. And on the NFC side, this one is a no-brainer. I think you got to go with Dallas, and they're a perfect 8-0 record at home. Rams at Detroit. I think this is another one. I kind of got to go in the same class as the Cleveland-Houston game. I think that the Rams are going to rely on experience, and I also think that Stafford is going to have a little extra juice in this one. Of course, Detroit trading him away after all those years. I gotta give the edge to the Rams. Very young team, very young head coach on the Detroit side. Rams have been there, done that. Sean McVay's been there, done that. So got to give the edge to them. Philadelphia at Tampa Bay, like I said, is pretty much a toss-up in my book. I will be at the game, so this is probably more wishful thinking than anything. But I'm going to give the edge to Tampa. And then, okay, we'll go ahead and circle San Francisco there. I've been calling them the Philadelphia frauds all year, so this might be karma for that. But that's my brackets. And that'll leave us looking with something like this because of the reseeding, which is really weird. But going into the divisional round, divisional round, this is what the AFC will look like. That'll leave us with Kansas City at Buffalo, Cleveland at Baltimore. That'll be really interesting. You get Joe Flacco at Baltimore, and then that would leave Tampa Bay at Dallas, which, as a Bucs fan, I don't really like that, but what can you do? When you get to the divisional round, you're going to be playing a good team. And that'll be the Rams at 49ers. Divisional game there would be a good one. I think the Rams would find a way to keep it close at least. San Francisco, I think, is the best team in the NFL this year. All right, that's it. And hope you guys enjoy Super Wildcard Weekend. I will be down in Tampa, so I'll try to get some content there. And if you're here for cards, I got Prism No Huddle on the way. Should be here today. So I'll see you guys then. Later.